Hola, ¿cómo estás? Yo, guys, welcome back again today. Today we're going to be talking about Afro Dominicans. Afro Dominicans came to the island by way of European colonizers in the 1500s. The first African slaves were brought straight from Spain, where they had been before the discovery of the island. These Africans were slaves took from Africa before. We must note, Africans traveled the world before this event, and even at one point did not go by the name African, but what tribe, empire, or kingdom they came from. France, Spain, and the British all fought over the island of Hispaniola or Haiti. At times, each European country owned and profited off the sugar industry on the island. Over time, the Europeans would fight each other over the island, while also trying to keep both native African and Taino peoples from revolting. One was by enslavement and another was by extermination due to European disease, overworking, and killing. The Taino population could not keep up with the harsh work the Spanish demanded. The Spanish colony would seek more peoples from different islands in the Caribbean. Even with other Arawak peoples being brought to the island, the various populations would still die off at an alarming rate, even to the Spanish. Over time, from the 1800s to the 1900s, African immigrants from the British West Indies, French West Indies, and the United States settled in the Dominican Republic. Over time, some Afro Dominicans would mix with Europeans, Taino Indians, and mestizos. A majority of the Dominican Republic have some percentage of African blood in them. It is not uncommon to see a family that lean more towards the African blood side, while in return, other families could lean more towards the European or Taino side. A huge population can trace all three groups of Taino, African, and European. This does not mean that all Dominicans have to have all three within them. African traditions in food and music can be seen on the island. We also must note that many Dominicans, like other parts of the Western world, did not like or accept their African blood due to discrimination, self-hatred, and miseducation of African peoples being more than just slaves. Dominican leaders throughout history have varied racially, with some leaders such as Rafael Molina in the 1930s, who led a massacre on Afro-Dominicans from Haiti. These Black Dominicans were farmers on the Dominican side of the island. In Dominican society, like most societies in the Americas, Dominicans that were more on the European side, fully European, or mixed were higher class. Darker mixed Dominicans leaning towards the African side, or Afro-Dominicans, were lower class and poor. The Dominican Army forces would use machetes and use a word test to see who was Haitian and Afro-Dominican. This word that was used was parsley. The reason the word was used when trying to find out if a Black person was from Haiti or Dominican Republic was because the R in parsley was hard for Haitian Blacks to pronounce. After this event, eventually the Dominican government agreed to pay Haiti $750,000. This was soon reduced to $525,000. After Haiti defeated France and France left the island, for some time Haiti overtook the whole island. Once this rule was over, some Africans who were not brought or settled on the Dominican side of the island stayed there. Throughout Dominican history, racial classifications were used officially throughout the country from the mid-1900s to 2015 in various ways. From national census to Dominican identity cards, classifications such as yellow, white, mestizo, mulatto, and black were used. The first slave rebellions would happen in the early 1500s. Over time, Africans in Dominican Republic would establish maroon communities in the mountains. Spanish slaveholders would be alarmed by the Maroons, and when traveling outside the plantations, they would travel with large armed groups in case of attacks by Maroons and Taino Indians. Soon the Spanish would leave the island and the Spanish slaveholders to look for new discovered metals in South America. This would also lead to the Spanish abandoning the slave trade in the Dominican Republic. This would put the colony into poverty. This did not stop the Spanish slave owners of the island from making African slaves build the oldest cathedral in the Americas, completed in 1550, the first hospital of the island, and a wall to defend against pirates who would ransack the island. Throughout 1801 to 1844, Dominican Republic would see Haitian leaders take over Santo Domingo, freeing enslaved Africans. Slavery reestablished in 1809 when Spain retook the area, Haitian leader Jean Boyer abolishing slavery once more, African Americans settling in the area under Haitian control of the island, and the Dominican Trinitario movement, in which Dominican military fought to preserve their country's independence from the Haitian government. Between 1844 and 1855, the Haitian Empire and the Dominican military would fight 3 major battles in which the Dominicans would win. In 1855, the Dominican Republic would have its independence. Other black groups would come to the island to make up Afro Dominicans as well. Blacks from the British West Indies would come to work on the sugar plantations on the eastern side of the island. They are known as the Cocolos in Dominican Republic, in which they can speak English. Another black group that came to the island was the Samana Americans. The Samana Americans are African American freed slaves from the United States who entered the country under Haitian rule. Afro Dominicans contributed and influenced many Dominican musics, including bachata. The African bongo can be heard throughout the mix of Spanish and African influence in different genres of Dominican music. Majority of black Dominicans are Roman Catholic, Protestant, or even Dominican Voodoo. In the future, there will be more Afro-Dominicans due to the immigration of thousands of Haitians into the country legally and illegally. Some groups of Afro-Dominicans have their own traditions and dances within the country and even have their own festivals. So today we learned about Afro-Dominicans, Dominicans of African descent. Majority of Dominicans have African blood, some have more than others, but it's a consensus that the majority of the island is mixed with majority or sometimes not majority African blood. So Africa is intertwined within Dominican Republic, and today we learned about Afro Dominicans. Please check out my new NFT online collectible art called Diaspora. The link is in the description. Add me on all social medias, which is Afric Network, which is Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. Each one teach one. Always love each other. Always learn from each other. And until next time, guys, adios. Peace. One love.